Have you ever wondered why some relationships lose their spark over time, while others seem to grow even more passionate even after decades together? Why? Do some couples fall into silence while others can't stop laughing, touching, and surprising each other no matter how many years pass? And why is thought certain women respond so deeply to him on? Not because of his appearance or how much money he makes, but because of something else. Something quieter, something deeper, something about the why he makes her feel safe, seen, and understood. If you've ever asked yourself what truly keeps love alive, especially in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, this might be the moment that shifts how you see everything. Because the real key to lasting desire and connection, it's not found in performance, it's not about age, wealth, or charm. It lies in understanding how a woman truly experiences in Namusa from the inside out today. We're pulling back the curtain on powerful truths hidden within female psychology. We're going to explore how a woman's mind and body respond to connection, trust, and presence. Most men miss these subtle cues, but once you learn to recognize and respond to them, everything changes. We'll talk about how emotional safety fuels physical desire, how consistency, no tensity keeps passion alive, and how science is just beginning to explain what many couples in long-lasting relationships already know in their hearts. Did you know that a single kiss on the neck done with care and intention can activate her nervous system in a way that builds instant emotional trust? If she feels emotionally safe in that moment, her entire body opens to you, not buck. You tried harder, but because you connected deeper. Or consider this: thousands of women are born with a rare condition, where they discover at puberty that their body developed differently. It's called vaginal agenesis, and while it may sound medical or obscure, it's a reminder that every woman has a unique emotional and physical story. She carries layers of history, emotion, and sensitivity that are often invisibleness you truly take the time to understand. That's why today's video, why emotional safety is the true key to female desire. Just about tips or techniques, it's about connection. It's about learning to see what's beneath the surface. And stay with me until the end. I'll share a simple, powerful shift that can restore intimacy in your relationship. 1. That doesn't require pills, performance, or pressure, because once you learn how to speak to her emotions, everybody naturally follows. Once she feels emotionally safe, she'll start responding to you in ways you may not have seen in years or ever before. And when that happens, intimacy becomes effortless, desire flows naturally, and your bond becomes something so strong, so rooted that age no longer matters. Let's begin this journey together, not as a lesson in techniques, but as a deeper understanding love of partnership and of what it really means to be connected. Stay with them. You're about to discover something most men never learn, but every man needs to. No, most of us were taught from a young age that intimacy begins with physical touch. A kiss, a hand on the back, a warm embrace. And while these moments are meaningful for many women, real desire begins somewhere far more subtle. It begins with how she feels emotional connect to you. A woman's desirito scent just rise from her body. It's stirred by emotion, by the sense of being seen and understood. It starts in her heart, and if that emotional connection is sent, there even the most romantic touch can feel empty. You may find you're still following all the things you think are right, bringing flowers, initiating closings, planning date nights. But if she's carrying the weight of feeling overlooked or emotionally discounted, those gestures don't land a way you intend. Her body can't relax into intimacy when her heart is guarded. That's not rejection, it's self-protection. Think back to a time when you felt truly desired, not just wanted for your body, but seen for who you want. I'll want with who you want. I'll want to see for who you are. My bite was the way someone listened to you. Maybe it was the way they looked at you, like you mattered. For a woman, that emotional presence is the very foundation of physical desire. Here's where men over 50 have a hidden advantage. With time comes patience, with experience comes awareness. Older men are more likely to understand that real intimacy isn't rushed. It's not about the big moments. It's about the small ones done with care, slowing down to listen when she's speaking, not just hearing her words, but understanding her emotions, bend them. This is why so many women are drawn to men who have the emotional maturity to be fully present. A woman doesn't just want to be touched. She wants to be felt. She wants to be understood. She wants to know that. When the psychology of touch, why slowing down, turns her on yar with her, you're not just going through the motions, you're actualize. You're actualize. You can touch a woman's body and still miss her entirely. You can say all the right things and still not make her feel safe. But when you're tuned into our emotional world, when you show her thought, you see her that you care about how she feels, not just what she does, her walls start to come down. And once those walls lower, everything changes, intimacy becomes less about technique and more about trust. Her body starts to respond not out of obligation, but out of desire. Bektos. Now she feels emotionally safe. She feels chosen, not just needed. This kind of connection doesn't come from memorizing the perfect move. It comes from learning to notice her, to pay attention to the small things she does when she's happy, or the subtle ways she pulls back when something's off. It's about asking the second question, not just the first. It's about holding space for her silence and not rushing to fillet. And yes, sometimes the most powerful gestures are the smallest ones. Brushing her hair behind her ear while you look her in the eyes, reaching for her hand across the table just because you want to. These moments say, I see you. And that is what makes a woman feel deeply desired. Presence isn't something you say, it's something you give. When she feels that, when she truly believes she can be herself around you without judgment or pressure, desire comes alive in a way thoughts organic and real. That's the magic of emotional intimacy. It doesn't require you, it doesn't demand perfection. It just asks for presence, and the good news is you already have what it takes. What if I told you that one of the most powerful ways to build trust and spark desire wasn't about doing more, but about doing less, more intentionally? In a world where so many people are constantly moving, constantly rushing, sometimes the most meaningful thing you can do is simply slow down and be full of present, especially when it comes to an intimacy. For women, physical touch is never just physical. It's emotional, it's energetic, and it's deeply intuitive. She can feel everything in the way you hold her. Whether you're truly there or if your mind is somewhere else, whether you're touching her because you care or because you're checking a box. In the temperature of your hands, the rhythm, what women secretly want. Emotional presence over edge performance. Your breath, the steadiness of your presence. There's a kind of quiet magician. A slow touch, a hand resting gently on her shoulder without any expectation, a brush of the fingers down her arm. While she's talking, a pause to rest your palm, the small of her back when you're standing close. These moments tell her, I see you, I feel you, I'm here. And when she feels that, really feels it, I unlock something that words can't reach. Let's take a moment to talk about the neck and the ears, to areas that men often overlook. These aren't just physical touch points, they're emotional access points. When you kiss the back of her neck slowly without any rush or agenda, it doesn't just give her goosebumps, it tells her she's safe, that you're not trying to take anything, that you're offering your presence, your attention, your care. A breath near her rear, a whisper that doesn't need to beck lever, just something real, something simple. That kind of closeness sends signals to her nervous system that she's not under pressure, she's free to enjoy, to receive, to let go on. When a woman feels like she can relax into herself around you, her entire emotional energy starts to shift. She ponces up, she softens, she begins to want more. Not because you asked for it, but because she wants to meet you there. This isn't about performance. It's not about mastering a list of moves. It's about expecting yourself without expectations. About creating a space where she doesn't have to shrink or pretend or hurry. It's about showing her that she doesn't have to be anyone else. That's just enough, that you notice the small things and you appreciate Then when a human feels both emotionally and physically safe, something beautiful happens. She becomes more expressive, more curious, more playful. Not because she's trying to keep you around, but because she feels alive in the relationship Hagen she feels. Seen she feels respected on, that's when her desire starts to ignite gently, naturally, without needing to be forced. This kind of intimacy builds over time. It builds in small moments, the way you kiss her forehead before bed, the way you restore hand on her leg when you're watching a movie, the way you smile when she walks into the room without needing a reason. These moments build trust they've forgotten. Art of noticing how small moments create big passions. I choose you. Still, even now, especially now, and that's the kind of love that lasts. That's the kind of touch that stays with her long after the moment is over. Coming up, we're going to look at how emotional distance begins in relationships, not through arguments or betrayal, but through small, subtle habits that slowly create space where there's to be closeness. And most importantly, how to recognize thought patterns and gently bring your relationship back to life. Passion doesn't disappear in one big moment. It doesn't come crashing down like a wave. It fades slowly like a fire that's been left alone for too long. It's quiet, almost invisible at first, but over time, it starts to show up in small ways that are easy to miss if you're not paying close attention. One day, she doesn't laugh at your joke like she you said to. Another day you go to hold her hand and she hesitates for just a second, before pulling away. Then one morning you realize she doesn't reach for you anymore. Not physically, not emotionally, and it's not because she's angry. It's not because she's lost interest. It's because something deep inside her stopped feeling safe to open up. This is the turning point most couples don't see coming. We assume it's age or stress or hormones. We think it's just part of growing older together. But more often than not, the root of that growing distance is something simpler and more fixable. The truth is, emotional disconnect happens when a woman stops feeling emotionally valued. Maybe it's been a while since you looked her in thigh and really listened. Maybe you, Useto, tell her how beautiful she is, but now you assume she already knows. Maybe you used to ask about her day, not just Wuthapund, but how it made her feel. And over time, those small moments of connection have quietly slipped away. What many men don't realize is that for a woman, love is built and rebuilt in details. It's in the unexpected plaints, the lingering hugs, the we show interest in the things that matter to her. When those things fade, so does her sense of emotional closeness. Without that closeness, passion has no hair to grow. But here's the hopeful part. What fades can be brought back. Connection can be rebuilt. Even if it's been years, even if it feels like she shot down or pulled away, it's not too late. You don't need grand gestures or fancy vacations. You just need to show her that you still see her. Start with something simple. Reach for her hand, not box. You're supposed to, but Bakosu want her to feel held. Look her in the eyes when she's speaking. And listen not just to the words, but to the emotion behind them. Pay attention to the little moments when she's silently asking, do I still matter to you? And dancer with your presence. Presence is the most romantic thing you can offer. It's not loud or flashy beauty. It's powerful when you're fully there with her. When you show up emotionally, she feels it, and that feeling, that's what begins to rebuild the bridge between you. When she feels seen again, she starts to soften. She starts to trust how intimacy after 60 can be deeper than in your 30s. Sure, guard comes down. And that's when you'll notice her leaning in again. Maybe slowly, maybe cautiously, but it's a start. You'll see her smile linger longer. Her laughter return, her willingness to connect again grow stronger. Don't underestimate the power of small gestures, a kind word, a genuine implement. A thoughtful question that shows you're still interested. In her world, these aren't just niceties, they're threads that keep love woven tightly together. See, you're willing to, bob patient to lead with empathy instead. Oh, Fago, you might just find that passion isn't gone, though it's Just been waiting for the right conditions to come back to the science of female pleasure. What movies got totally wrong life? And in the next section, we're going to talk about something most men haven't ever been taught. The real science of male pleasure and why understanding this truth could shift the way you've experienced intimacy forever. What I everything you've been told about female pleasure only scratch the surface of what's actually true. What if the ideas we've absorbed from movies, magazines, and locker room conversations have me's death real source of a woman's desire? Most men with good intentions focus on technique. They think about timing, rhythms, demeanor, and while those things can play a role, they're not the heart of what creates meaningful, lasting intimacy. The truth is a woman's ability to experience serial pleasure doesn't start with urbanity. It starts with how she feels emotionally, physically speaking. Yes, the clitoris is incredibly sensitive, with over 8.0 nerve endings, but here's where most people misunderstand. All that sensitivity doesn't mean stimulational is the answer. It means the environment, the emotional atmosphere between you and her is even more important. Pleasure for a woman often starts long before there's any touch at all. It starts when she feels emotionalized of, deeply seen and genuinely wanted, not just for what she looks like, but for who she is. For some women, a slow, thoughtful kiss on the back of the neck can create more anticipation than anything physical. For others, a simple, hurried conversation where she feels completely understood opens the door to herself. Isn't theory. It's backed by science. Studies have shown that women are significantly more likely to experience stronger, longer, and even multiple orgasms when they feel emotional support and connected to their partner. That connection isn't built by guessings. It's built by paying attention. The most attractive men, the ones women feel safe and excited with, aren't necessarily the most skilled in the bedroom. They're theons who are present. They notice the small things. The way her breath changes, the way her body leans in or pulls back, the way her energy shifts. They don't rush. They don't push. They don't try totally a one-size-fits-all approach. Instead, they treat intimacy like a conversation, not a performance. Every woman has a unique pleasure map. What makes one woman melt may do nothing for another. That's why curiosity matters. Aging into attraction, why women crave depth over youth more than confidence. When you let go off trying to get it right and start tuning into how she responds, you unlock a completely different level of connection. You create a space where she can do through her reactions, through her comfort, through her joy, and the more you listen, the more she'll show you, not with words, but with how she shows up in the moment, the way she reaches for you, the way she starts to take the lead, the way she glows when she feels truly appreciated. That glow isn't just a boot pleasure. It's about emotional intimacies, about feeling safe enough to be vulnerable, expressive, even playful. And when that emotional foundation is strong, physical pleasure becomes more natural, more expansive, and more meaningful. Thesis where aging becomes a gift, because as we grow older, we start to realize that great intimacy isn't about chasing thrills. It's about deepening connection. It's about slowing down enough to actually enjoy each other. Boring. The experience, not speeding through it. The truth is, when you bring presence, empathy, and curiosity into the bedroom, everything changes. You stop trying to impress, you start trying to understand. And that shift, that emotional shift, is what makes the physical experience so much richer. Our final section, we're going to explore why intimacy after 60 isn't adequate. It's an opportunity, a chance to emotional distance, the silent relationship killer, and how to fix it. Experience deeper, more meaningful love than ever before. Because when emotional connection leads the way, pleasure doesn't fade with age, it evolves into something even better. There's a common belief out there that intimacy fades as once we cross a certain number on the calendar, the passion we once felt naturally begins to disappear. But that's not the full story. In fact, when Emotional connection deepens the potential for meaningful, lasting passion. What changes isn't our capacity for love. It's the way we experience it. Men over 60 are in a unique position by this point in life. If seen enough, felt enough, and thoughtfully learned enough to realize that true. Intimacy isn't about how you look. It's about how you make someone feel fair, energy that women respond to most, especially in their later years. Isn't tithe or bravado. It's calmness, consistency, depth. There's something Gundoni attractive about a man. It's comfortable in his own skin. A man who's not trying to impress but to connect. That steady presence, that ability Tori Lee, listen, to be patient and curious. That's the kind of energy that draws a woman in, especially in a world that often feels chaotic or uncertain. Emotional security becomes incredibly valuable. Women crave that kind of safety. They want to be with someone who makes them feel emotionally held. When you show up with sincerity, not trying to fix her, not trying to convince her, but simply being there, she begins to relax in your presence. And from that place, intimacy becomes something deeper, more meaningful. It's no longer about kissing a feeling. It's about creating one together. You don't need to look the way you did at 30. What you need now is anything more enduring intention. When you share a story, do it with your heart in it. When you touch her, let it bebcos. You genuinely want to connect, Nate. Just physically, but emotionally. And when you look at her, hold that gaze a little longer than usual. Let her feel that she's not just being looked at, but truly seen. At this stage of life, love'nt something you rush through. It's something you savor. You take your time, you notice the quiet moments you enjoy in the little rituals, a shared cup of coffee, a slow walk at sunset, a laugh over a memory you both still carry. And here's something truly beautiful about emotional trust. It fuels a different kind of passion, one that's not about fireworks and adrenaline. It's slower, steadier, and much deeper. It's the kind of connection where physical touch becomes sacred. Where a simple kiss means more than it ever did before, where just laying next to each other feels like a now. This is the kind of intimacy that lasts, not because you're trying to hold onto youth, but because you finally learned what matters most. Presence, final shift. The one thing that makes her lean back into you. Again, kindness, attention, and emotional honesty. These are the qualities that make love grow stronger over time. And if you're willing to open up again, to let go of belief that passion has passed, Yabi, you might just discover that your most powerful, satisfying chapter is still ahead. Because when both partners are emotionally attuned, physically relaxed, and genuinely connected into Musadosan, decline, it evolves. It becomes richer, more nourishing, more rewarding. Anything you experienced when you were younger, it becomes something Yabeth look forward to, not just out of habit, but out of love. So don't let Nyan tell you it's too late. The truth is, this might be the perfect time to beg in again, to hold her hand with more, propose, to speak with more heart, to listen more deeply, and to remind her and yourself that intimacy after 60 days just possible. It might be the most real-land, meaningful connection you'll ever experience. If you've made it to this point in the video, then you're clearly someone who values connection. And more often that you believe, like I do, that intimacy doesn't fade with age, it matures, it grows roots, it becomes something stronger, something deeper than what you might have known in your age or years. That's something to be proud of, because choosing to keep learning, to keep showing up, to keep growing in love, that takes courage, it takes intention, and it means you understand that relationships aren't about grand gestures or flawless performance. They're about presence, a consistency, and emotional honesty. When you begin to understand the way a woman feels, not just physically, but you unlock something powerful. You're no longer just sharing space, you're sharing meaning. You're not just touching her body, you're reaching into the places where her trust lives, where her hopes sit quietly waiting to be acknowledged. So I want to ask you something. What hit home for you today? Was there a line, an idea, a truth that made you pause? Something clicked even in a small way? Type the word awaken in comments below. Let me know. You're walking this path with us, that you're one of the men who still believes in showing up for love, and if this video spoke to you, helped you, or reminded you of something important, please give it a like, share it with someone who might need this message. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next, because we're just getting started. Remember, Shadow Scent needs you to be perfect. She just needs you to be present. And when you bring that kind of presence into your relationship, everything else begins to fall into place. That is the real secret, and it's been inside you all along.